Wrestling with wrestling's past and present.
Trucive thought was like, eat the paintball. So I just took a bite out of it in the middle of the class. And I had like orange and blue paint dripping down my lip.
Teacher was like, he's crazy. He just ate paint. We better do it today. So I don't even have to tell her. Mom, Tim's make fun of me.
Mondo.
Mondo Burger. Welcome to Good Burger. Welcome to Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Just went to further the cheap pop. Mick Foley still owes Tim $10.
Just the definition of blue balls and gaga. It's like
that should be a t-shirt. Blue balls and gaga.
I was waiting for him to say his name. I'm like,
totally forgot to say it.
You give this fucking guy 1 week off, and you add 2 words to the intro. And Tim's like, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. We've been doing the intro for 200 fucking episodes the same way.
That was the most asinine shit that I've ever seen. Like, it just like, that was a storyline. A man ate his dog.
Oh, they're huge.
I'm titillated.
Make sure you talk about his calf muscle being bulging and his arm muscle.
Like reason to come here and listen to ourselves talk.
Absolutely,
and then you can listen to us too.
Strap on and balls only on Wrestling Past and Present.
This is Gangrel, the Vampire Ward, and you're listening to Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present.
This is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present. I'm Tim Kirk.
I'm Roland Fulis.
And I'm Mongo.
And the band is back together once again. Thank you to Mongo and Jonathan Light for taking the reins over last week. A little scheduling conflict with Roland and I, who couldn't make the episode. So we're glad to be back and ready for episode 145 today. Originally, we were going to do a Fall Brawl 99 from WCW, but there's been some news this week in the wrestling business that we figured was much more important to discuss. We're going to talk about the fallout of All Out. I just came up with that in the head. That was pretty good.
That's really good. That's really good.
Well, and we can discuss our predictions and stuff a little bit too, just to kind of go down that route like we normally do with the recaps. But then
Tim is because he won.
I mean, I wasn't going to say that, but you know, I am the undisputed Fallout champion. So it's not All Out; it's Fallout now. It's just AEW 2022 Fallout. Half the roster doesn't even work there anymore now.
I know, right?
Well, I mean, they're suspended or they can't work there right now. I mean, Malachi Black left, so he's not there no more. Half the other the elite and all those guys are all gone. They're suspended. Ace Steel may or may not have thrown a chair at someone and bit somebody and whatever not. And he may not work there anymore, and Punk might be suspended or fired. Like it's crazy. We have to discuss it. We have to.
And I think the worst part is, we talked about this off air. The dirt sheets, there's been like 1,955 versions of the story. So like there's one story where they supposedly super kicked the door down. I'm just obviously being dramatic like the dirt sheets are. Then there's another story where they went in calmly. Someone didn't pick up the dog. So it's hard because as fans, it's like, which side are you picking? And inevitably it's probably wrong because at the end of the day, whenever you work with someone, whenever you work places, you're going to have people with clashing personalities, egos, etc. Things are going to happen. Unfortunately, boiling points happened, and I think it's personally funny to see someone like Eric Bischoff and Disco trying to chime in. It's like, bros, you worked in WCW where this was like fucking weekly. Like you got, we can't run a company. There were stabbings in WCW locker rooms. Like what? Like unfortunately, this shit's normal in wrestling. It's just now, they're bigger. Shit's getting out because there's a lot of people there. A lot of people talk.
You think that before they super kicked the door, they yelled "Super Kick Party"?
I think CM Punk maybe was yelling "Lawsuit Party" because it sounds like he keeps saying around like "sue." I'm suing you. I'm gonna sue. Like what the fuck? For someone who's so anti-authority, he loves to sue people.
Punk and Ace Steel are just sitting there, and all of a sudden they hear from the outside the door, "Super Kick Party!" Bang! Jesus, what the hell?
I got to give Ace Steel credit though because he's getting people are talking about him more than they probably ever have in his whole life the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I was wondering when I first saw the clip. See, I didn't watch Dynamite. So when I first saw the clip of him like slapping Punk, I'm like, whose grandpa is that? Who's out here slapping Punk around?
I'm glad you said something because, watching when Moxley came out with a contract, everybody started chanting MJF. So you're like, what the fuck's going to happen? And then he leaves it in the ring. And then Ace Steel comes out and you're like, who the fuck's this guy? And then he picks up the contract and the announcers are selling it like everyone knows. They're like, oh my God, that's Ace Steel. We're like, so a porn star is coming out to the ring right now? Like, what's happening? And then he grabs it, like, who's he bringing it to? And then later on, they're like, that's CM Punk's longtime friend and trainer. It's like, couldn't have let off with that when he came out. Hey, there's CM Punk's longtime friend and trainer. Because I was a fan of Ring of Honor, and I kind of forgot about the Second City Saints, but, he didn't. But yeah, like Tim said, he went from like Mr. Irrelevant to relevant to now back to Mr. Irrelevant real fucking quick, like 4 days.
Yeah.
It was a steep climb and a steep fall.
Right? So just if you haven't really heard of what, just kind of give you synopsis of what we're talking about. CM Punk defeated Moxley at the All Out pay-per-view to become the new, or the undisputed, the new champion. Moxley beat him on Dynamite the week before. But afterwards, there was a media scrum, which was like a press conference. CM Punk's there with Tony Khan, and he's just trashing everybody. He's saying that, the people that made the most money off his name were Vince McMahon and Colt Cabana, Scott Colton. And he's just ripping Colt Cabana and the EVPs at AEW and stuff like that. And basically, depending on what you read, again, we don't know what's 100% factual or not. This is kind of going off internet rumors and innuendo. So, but the Omega and the Young Bucks got pissed. Supposedly Ace Steel threw a chair at one of the Young Bucks, cut him above the eye. I think it was Match X. I'm not quite sure which one it was. Yeah. And then Ace Steel bit. Was it Omega that he bit? Yeah, it was Omega that he bit in the ear.
A man bit Kenny Omega.
Right. Doing his best Mike Tyson impression there. So basically a whole shit show happened. There's reports out I read today or yesterday that it could be a work. The reporters are just trying to get their story out there and hope that they're right, I think, at this point. There's a little bit of controversy. Tony Khan stripped the Elite of the Trios titles, stripped Punk of the AEW title. Death Triangle won a match on Dynamite to become the new Trios champion, and they're doing this whole tournament champions thing for the AEW title. So that's kind of where we stand at this point. So it's kind of a crazy time. It's it's hard to know what the truth is at this point.
Mongo, you used to work at Target. Do you think those guys could manage a Target? Just wondering.
I mean, so like Tim said, there's just been so many stories from, like we joked earlier that the door was kicked down to now even CM Punk's side is saying, well, maybe it wasn't kicked down. And so again, tensions are high. And then when the stories came out, they came out like hours after they happened. So it's like everything else. Everything was so over exaggerated. Like Tim said, a chair may or may not have been thrown. So may have been bitten. Apparently his dog was involved and the dog was supposedly being removed and the lawyers were there. So it's weird. So then you're obviously going to have the conspiracy theorists saying it's a work, or you have people saying, oh, really is a work, and then no one knows. And then why did Punk go off? Because I think the weirdest part of it all is he brought up Colt Cabana completely unprovoked. So it's kind of weird. So like, obviously that was a tipping point, but it's kind of weird that he brought up his mom. Did you guys catch that in the press conference? Like, he shared an account with his mom. Like, ow, that was a kick to the penis on live television for Colt Cabana. And then
I share a bank account with my mom too, but I mean, it's pretty much hers. Like I manage her funds for like paying bills and stuff. Like, hi, Mom. But I still have my own bank account. So like, I'm just throwing that out there. Like,
right.
I mean, on it, but like, it sounds like, according to Punk, like they were like sharing the only bank account in the family. Like it's just weird. Like you said, weird situation. And not to cut you off, Mongo, like the biggest thing the biggest thing that irritates me about all this whole thing is that a lot of people are siding with Kenny and the Bucks and whatever. My only issue is I would probably side with Kenny and the Bucks if they were not in a position of power. As a position of power person, you're supposed to be held to a higher standard, whether you want to be that or not. So, like, for you to start shit in the locker room or start rumors or make it seem like Punk had something to do with, Colt Cabana getting fired or being moved to Ring of Honor or whatever the rumor is, I can see why he's upset, because it's one thing to have the locker room stirred by, one of the regular wrestlers, but to have someone that's, again, supposed to be in power or an authority type figure as an EVP do that, it's super unprofessional from the guys that are EVPs. And I've even heard a TikTok video, I can't remember who made it, but in all honesty, there's a lot of thought out there that they might get stripped of their EVP title, like the Agile EVPs, because you can't have, it's hard when you have EVPs that are also wrestlers too. Like, they made these trios titles essentially for themselves. They made the EVP trios titles is what they made, because they literally, why didn't they just pull a Triple H, like when Bischoff gave him the world title, and just be like, here you go, you're the trios champs, because why have a tournament?
I mean, it's the showcase. I agree that they shouldn't have put themselves over, but I mean, they don't also book themselves too. So it's politicking. It's going towards, Tony Khan. So like you said, a lot of influencers, and that's why a lot of people are fed up with Elite. And I completely agree. The only thing that I've heard differently, again, we've heard different stories, is Meltzer has come out and said that he's never, spoken to that. But again, Meltzer's, friends, so he could be lying too. So, like you said, if they are spreading rumors, absolutely, like, what the hell? Like, they should be taking it up with him in person, not leaking stuff online, blah, 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 blah. But then in the long term, too, CM Punk did kind of invite them to the locker room, because he said, if anyone has a problem, come to my locker room. And, they went, and depending which version you read, sounds like they went there. And, even CM Punk basically says that he threw the first punch. I think he's pissed off because he knew he got injured in the ring. So I think that's why the emotions were so high. I think the reason why this is all more magnified is he definitely knew he tore his bicep in the ring. Because if you watch the match, he's like constantly like just shaking his arm all awkward and weird after he did the suicide dive, tope, suicide, or whatever we're calling it. And he's just like flexing his arm. You could tell he's in pain. So I'm wondering if maybe his adrenaline was going. He was angry. But it just, I mean, I agree with Roland. There are no innocent sides in this, and it's more which side you choose to believe, want to believe. Again, who you like as a wrestler. And no, I don't think really anyone's wrong, because everyone has the right to their opinion. I agree with Roland. The EVPs, they're in a position of power. You have to be the bigger person if you're in a position of power. If I sit there and I go fight my subordinates at work, I'm going to get fired. If I have an employee show up late and I'm like, oh, you're half an hour late, and I just start going and beating him down in the break room, yeah, I'm probably going to be arrested and lose my job. So in a position of power, I have higher standards. So it's definitely a very uncomfortable situation. And I think with social media, unfortunately, this is more out there. And Vince kind of had the luxury of not having the social media aspect during the Attitude Era, because who knows what went on in that locker room. I mean, look what Sable sued for. Look at all the stuff that happened to her.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with this whole thing is, like, I'm very hesitant to, like, pick a side, because we don't know the full facts. We're hearing all the internet rumors. We're hearing from the dirt sheet writers, people that weren't even in the arena when this stuff happened. So I'm very hesitant to pick a side, because I don't know what happened. I wasn't there until like they put out a press release or a statement or something so you can hear from the actual parties themselves. I don't want to rush into any judgment on the situation. So but I do agree, like, if the Bucks and Omega did engage in this a physical altercation, they can't do that as people of power in the company, as executives of the company. Having said that, though, I can understand where it will be hard to turn the wrestler and the performer off and put the suit on, kind of, so to speak, because wrestlers have this mentality. They're going to fight for themselves. They're going to stand up for what they believe in. And they're going to defend their honor. At the same time, they're executives. So I can kind of understand how they have a hard time going back and forth, wearing the suit and wearing the wrestling trunks. But, until I think more information is going to come out down the road eventually. And until that point, I don't think I'm going to pick a side one way or the other at this point.
And I know this isn't 100% pertinent. Sorry, Roland, if I cut you off, I apologize. 100% pertinent to the situation, but the hardest thing I did in my career when I became a manager was have to discipline or be in charge of my friends that I worked with. I worked with these people side by side. I was their equal, and then suddenly I was in charge of them. So, like you said, Tim, very perfectly, it can be so hard. That's why Jericho doesn't want to be an EVP. It can be so hard to take that wrestler hat off and put I'm a manager hat on. And like Roland said again, to that way segue back to him. If you're in a position of power, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard, because otherwise it's hypocritical and no one's going to respect you.
Well, I think the only thing you can really fault CM Punk for was the way that he, sitting next to the owner of the company, acted during that scrum. I get he was frustrated. And he has every right to be frustrated if what we think and what he claims happened. He should be frustrated. However, to essentially, bury the whole company, everybody, the EVPs, and essentially bury Tony Khan in the same, sitting next to him, that's really the only thing I fault Punk for, was that we know of for sure, is that the way he carried himself as the champion going into this, he can't be the face of a company and sit there and bury the owner and everybody else and whatever for something totally unrelated to what happened that night. He wasn't talking about the match with Moxley. He was talking about something that happened backstage, that may or may not have happened backstage, about an irrelevant wrestler. Like, no offense to Colt Cabana, he is as irrelevant as, name a wrestler that was around in the 90s. It's not around now. That's Colt Cabana right now. He's not even on AEW program anymore. He is irrelevant, totally irrelevant to anything that happened at All Out. Plain and simple.
And it's just, he's gonna always be that beef. He's gonna have it because in his eyes, he feels Colt Cabana screwed him, even though, again, that's another one, depending which side you hear, there's a lot more stories that confirm that Punk kind of promised Colt and Colt took advantage. So that's what took the friendship, was how the money, and that's the thing, money will kill friendships every time, 10 out of 10. And that's what essentially happened without going to the whole, you can look it up on Reddit, there's a bunch of threads on there, friendship, not friendship. But like Roland said, he brought up someone who, and I love Colt Cabana, he's fun indie, but he's a glorified indie worker that, has a friend's contract. And I can say that as a fan, I will say that too. He got a contract because he's friends with the Bucks. Plain and simple, because he wasn't elevating anything in AEW, and that's not a shot at Colt Cabana. He's entertaining as hell with the Dark Order, all that. But like you said, for CM Punk to sit there and just start this tirade, and using his real name too, not even using his working name, but like to bury him and then say, oh, because of this. And then, like you said, then when, oh, he wants me to work with pricks when MJF comes back. And it's like, that's what I think upset me as a fan too. It's like all this distract from how awesome it was that MJF finally came back, and the way they're doing it. Like, they're letting him be his, like, bidding war 2024. Like, so we're lucky that, MJF did come back, because this whole thing, kind of ironically, Tony Khan said, hey, my roster's at 100% after All Out. And now it's like at 50% because you suspended half your fucking roster.
Well, and the other unfortunate thing too, in all honesty, that wasn't really talked about leading up to All Out, was that you never got to see the payoff between the Elite and Red Dragon and Adam Cole. Like, that's unfortunate too. I know that's a side story, but you want to talk about roster, you bring in Bobby Fish, you bring in Kyle O'Reilly to be with Adam Cole, Kenny Omega's hurt, but you know where they're going. And unfortunately, we never got to go there. And I blame Tony Khan for that. I blame him wholeheartedly for not, incentivizing Bobby Fish to stay, even if it was only through the pay-per-view. They could have had this. It didn't need to be Dark Order, Hangman Page. And, it didn't. They could have done the payoff there if they had to. It's frustrating to see that storytelling, and everybody knew where it was headed, especially when Omega left and Cole was like, I'll take it from here kind of thing. I'm like, you knew where it was headed, and now we're never going to get to see it. So that's another frustrating thing, is that, like, I feel that Tony has mismanaged his roster so poorly, and the women's division, like Mongo says, every chance he gets, and to his point, is one of the reasons, the proof of Tony Khan mismanaging things, because the women's division, there's a lot of talent there, but the women's division sucks. It's bad. because they've buried Ruby Soho 35 times now. Like, how many times are you going to bury her before she, it's just, and no offense to Thunder Rosa, she doesn't have any, I'm not going to say any, she barely has any right to be carrying that title, for one. She wasn't quite ready. I know they built her up and whatever, but again, the push after the title has made her title reign irrelevant. So like
he booked into oblivion.
Yeah.
Because, and I agree with you, his booking is killer. And the reason why I'm so passionate in the women's division is because, I enjoy watching this with Emily. It's one thing that keeps us, close. And I know you guys enjoy watching it too. I'm not trying to take away from that, but it's hard, I know, for her, because she wants to see the women's division equal like the men's division, as she should. And it sucks when we watched Thunder Rosa together because she liked her. We watched her, and I did too, in NWA, and showing up at Impact. I'm like, oh, she's really good. And then she gets signed, and she has really good feud with Britt Baker. And then they had that Lights Out match. Like, all right, she's a serious contender. And then she gets the title, and she gets a Nyla Rose feud, and then it fizzles. Like, she goes nowhere. She was in backstage promos, and then supposedly there's tension with her, but it's another irrelevant wrestler from Ring of Honor basically put out false rumors about her that she sandbagged her opponent. But even the opponent she had in the match came out, was like, what are you talking about? She didn't sandbag me. Like, and then she does have heat with Britt Baker, but that's, I'm sure, an ego thing more than anything, because obviously both women want to be on top. Both women want to be, the face of the division. And again, they're fighting for, the 5-minute airtime that Tony's giving them, because he's not knowing what he's doing with all his toys. And I'm glad that he's listening, because he's been bringing in, other people. He's been bringing in more agents. Unfortunately, H Steel is one of them, but he is bringing in more agents to try to help fix the division. And it just sucks that between the injury and then, Kyle O'Reilly, his neck fusion surgery, it's like they only had a small window and he didn't capitalize. And I agree. Even if you just pulled the Jeff Jarrett and like, hey, I'll give you like $1 million for like 6 weeks, just come do it. And who knows why Bobby Fish left too. And can we talk about that picture too? Like, that's floating around to him now. Like, man, Tim Wakefield needs to get him some Just for Men gel, because I didn't realize how much he died. I knew he obviously is older. I'm not trying to pick on him, but holy crap, he aged like 20 years in a month in that one picture with the hair dye.
He looks like Kevin Nash, like
right?
The gray level of Kevin Nash. But like, and the other thing too, to bring up with the way that Tony has booked things, right? And this, I think, says a lot of the people they've brought in and how the roster is kind of divided. They had a talent meeting after that media scrum, and the guys that led that meeting were guys like Jericho, Bryan Danielson, Moxley. They're all ex-WWE guys, whether you want to admit it or not. They all came in at different times. They were all in WWE, and they were all successful in the WWE. For them to lead the AEW locker room says something for the people that are like, oh, the WWE guy. If you bring in the right guys and they fit, it doesn't matter where the fuck they worked before. The problem is, and this is the other thing that irritates me about that whole Hangman Adam Page involvement, the stuff that Page said on Dynamite, essentially about Colt Cabana and about that situation way back when, essentially is what started this. And I know he didn't say it directly, but clearly we know what he was getting at when they had their feud. And it seems like Punk waited all this time to finally like address the feud. Like, I think he was almost waiting for Hangman to apologize to him, and he never did. So here's my one issue. Hangman Adam Page is a known member of the Elite, whether you want to say he's not or whatever he is. He is friends with them. He's always been friends with them. He's been friends since he came in, whatever. How do you think he gets information that he then uses in promos about CM Punk? About, like, it's not like the AEW locker room is against Punk for like certain things. It's what they hear, and where do they hear these things from? And that's the biggest issue for me, is that if they came from Kenny Omega, the Bucks, whoever, if they're the ones spreading this stuff, whether it's true or not, that's the other biggest issue too, is that it seems like Phil was a little bit hurt or a little bit offended that, Hangman essentially went into business for himself. And if you're going to use personal stuff like that as an angle, that needs to be talked about first. You can't just go out on national TV and say, hey, this is what I'm going to say, and just go without giving like fair warning. Like, hey, do you mind if I say something about, even if it's not politically correct, as long a lot of wrestlers know it's a business, and if they know ahead of time, it doesn't bother them that much. It's like, okay, we knew we were going to say it, whatever it was talked about, it's fine. So that's my other big issue too, is that if the ammo that Paige got was essentially directly from the mouths of the Young Bucks, that's where the issue lies with the whole issue of how the locker room is divided, because the Young Bucks and the EVPs, Omega, Young Bucks, they're buddies, Colt Cabana, they're buddies with Adam Page, they're buddies with all these other people, the indie scene, AEW guys. Where do you think they're getting their information from? The Young Bucks are friends with Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana then says something to the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks then relay that message to Adam Page or whoever. And it's like, that stuff needs to be, especially if it's told to, it would be like me going in somewhere and telling my boss this. And then my boss literally walking out the door and telling everybody on the floor what I just told him. It's the same thing. Like you can't, you have to have, like I said, and that's the higher standard thing that I don't think people get. And again, I'm not necessarily taking Punk's side. I'm just pointing out that I can see why he would be frustrated with that whole situation, and why he kind of plays the grumpy old man, like, the get off on my lawn guy, because this situation also happened 12 years ago or whatever, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, however long, like it happened so long ago, it shouldn't even be an issue right now. But clearly it got brought back up, and clearly there was issues there, whether Colt Cabana told the Bucks himself, or the Bucks heard it and then told other people, or if Colt Cabana told, like, either way, it should have been shut down, plain and simple.
So,
sorry about them.
Yeah. So here's my fear of this whole situation when it comes to CM Punk. I fear that he's going to be regarded in the same way that some people regard Bret Hart, because Bret Hart is regarded as kind of this whiner, doesn't let stuff go, carries grudges with him and stuff like that. Bitter. That's the right word.
That is his idol, so I hate to say it, but it kind of lines up.
Yeah, it does, because, we all know about the Goldberg thing with the kick at I think it was the Starrcade pay-per-view that gave Bret the concussion, which is, granted, he should be pissed at that, but I don't think, he has to talk to Goldberg and handle that. He doesn't have to continue it in public. But also, another, this kind of relates to Bret Hart too, like when you're saying about how if you're going to bring personal business into a storyline, you have to talk about it first and make sure everybody's in agreement. It reminded me of the whole Shawn Michaels, the Sunny Days comment, stuff like that. And Bret, I don't think has ever forgiven Shawn for that now. So I fear that he is going to be viewed as this bitter guy. And, because he did bring up this Colt Cabana thing from years past where it wasn't provoked. So that's my fear. And then kind of my other point I just want to mention real quick is kind of like a big picture thing is I just really feel with the media scrum and then the recent booking of the world title, to me, it's really diminished the value of the AEW world title. Because you have, you had Punk who won the title. He got injured. Then they did the interim thing. And then they did the unification match with Moxley, which was won in like 2 minutes or whatever. And then all of a sudden Punk's healthy enough to do the rematch at All Out, and he wins. So they're flip-flopping the title back and forth recently with booking that doesn't really make sense. They kind of booked himself in the corner. And now Punk does this, and now they strip the title, and now they have to have another tournament. So it just it really, to me, defaces the value of the world title, which I think is unfortunate.
And to kind of, intertwine both points, so obviously I don't want to go on a tangent or anything. To Roland's point, the whole Hangman feud, I didn't really think of an issue until Punk started kind of bringing it up later on, and then I listened to it, and it wasn't really any worse than what Punk said, but like you both alluded to, you still kind of got to at least be like, hey, these are kind of my talking points, anything off limits. Like, you still got to have that respect. And I'm not saying, again, I'm like Roland, I'm not like picking sides, and I'm not saying who's right, because again, we don't know what goes on behind the curtain. We don't want to know. We don't want to see how the sausage is made, because it ruins your view of the product. We're just kind of going on based on what we're hearing, because unfortunately, if you're on any type of social media, that's all you're seeing and hearing. And like Tim said, the weird booking, and I don't, I don't know what happened. Like he went into panic mode when injuries happened, and this is the only thing I can equate because it's been a really weird summer for AEW. So it's obviously, CM Punk got the title and he got injured and he went, shit, what do we do? And then he's like, interim. And then Punk's like, I'm back sooner. And he's like, shit, what do you do? And then the random still does not make any sense squash match. That was just like, why? If your ultimate plan was to go to All Out, should have just stayed it All Out. Like, it doesn't make sense. So I know Rowan's talked about it before. We talked off air on it. It doesn't make sense. Tim, you talked about the devaluing title. It did. That's why Moxley had to basically try to build it back up in that promo, because it's just, you can't hot shot the title that quick. And then I think my only complaint to Phil as professional in that match was he knew he was hurt, regardless of what Eddie says. He got hurt in the match. He knew he was. You can even see after the match, he's still doing the thing with his elbow. I don't understand why they didn't call an audible, or why he didn't call an audible. Like, why didn't Tony say, shit, he's hurt, or let Moxley retain? Because then you wouldn't have to strip him. You could have just suspended him and let him recover injury-wise. I just, this is where, people shit on Vince, but this is where he was a little bit, he was able to reel it in a little bit better.
And talk about the audible situation, too. If the situation would have been, okay, Punk wins a match, but he's hurt, whatever. Wouldn't it make sense to send down MJF at that point to then attack him? And then you can say, okay, Punk's out, he's injured, we have to vacate the title. But we're not going to do a tournament. We're going to have MJF face Moxley for the championship. Moxley was the one that was in the match with Punk that was a champion going in. You have MJF as the poker chip holder. Go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just...
It writes itself.
Right, and you could have done it that way. You could have just said, okay. And then, like you said, some of that could be the fact that Punk didn't relay that he was hurt or that he thought it was serious. And some of it could have been that, that thought never crossed Tony Khan's mind at the moment. But knowing you're going to have the big reveal of MJF at the end of the night, no matter what, you then have to say, okay, we're going to do the big reveal. Phil's hurt. So we're going to have him essentially attack Punk and take the belt. He didn't even take the belt. Like, this belt's mine. Bye. And then that's when Moxley says, no, you didn't win it. Punk has to vacate it because he's injured. You injured him. And now I'm going to try to get the title back. You don't have it. It's not yours yet. You haven't won it yet. You need to beat me to win it, essentially. And boom, done. You don't need a tournament. You don't need this tournament champions when you have Danielson and Jericho and Darby, who hasn't won a match in 35 years unless it was a mixed match. Sammy Guevara, who his heat is now pretty much just because he's a sleazy sleazeball that makes out with his girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever you want to call her now, who changed her name. Apparently, for some reason, she went to the Vince McMahon school of changing names 27 times.
Well, she got rid of her ex-husband's name. That's what, from what I heard.
Still, whatever, it's fine. But like, you don't need this fucking tournament. You just don't, because like Tim said too, now this tournament even devalues it more, because now during this time, no one is your champion. Like, you very easily could have made the belt mean something by Moxley chasing a belt from a guy who didn't win it yet, who then took it and made it his, and then it, like Mongo said, it writes itself. It's too bad they didn't go that route.
Don't take this as, we're not trying to like say AEW is terrible, because that's the other thing, is some of these trolls on the other side who I saw a t-shirt in the crowd. I know they're making it the Just Enjoy Wrestling. I don't understand the troglodytes out there that are like, oh, I hate AEW. Then don't watch. People spend so much time fucking hate watching. And I think that's what's got me riled up in this whole situation. It's just they're just using it as ammunition. Like, they don't realize that Dark Season had 3 fucking seasons on WB. Like, there's controversy in every sport. There's controversy in every type of employment. It's just magnified, and we're talking about what we want the booking to be, because right now WB's gonna peak off and level, but AEW is still in their honeymoon phase. I have the honeymoon phase. They're still in their growth phase. They need to work on their storylines, because that's their biggest criticism by a lot of fans right now, is these matches are fun, when they do the dream matches, but you have to still have stories, and you can't do all these 180s. Like, they went from having really good long-term storytelling to really good flesh out stories to it's just been rushed. And I don't understand what's happening, but they need to reel that in, because they're going to go stagnant. And I know everybody wants to talk about how Triple H is saving WWE, but if you look at WWE as a product right now, like what really has drastically changed? Not a lot. There's been a lot of re-debuts. There's been a lot of, polishing of matches and match structure, but it's not like they're going to suddenly abandon every single storyline that was in place and start new. So there's still a lot of work on both sides. So I think that's what makes this podcast great is we can discuss this and not have to just be bitter people like Punk is, and just go off and have tangents. So it may be fun, but I just kind of want to point out, because I know maybe the vibe feels that way, but we're just trying to digest, like Tim said, everything that's going on, because that's all it was. And I think it's a shame that it devalued MJF's return, it devalued the pay-per-view, and then even the booking, like I said off air, like the matches, the wrestling was fine, but the weird booking decisions, I just don't understand, like, why did Jericho have to go over Danielson? That doesn't make any sense. Why didn't you call an audible and have the Acclaimed win when the crowd was literally salivating, waiting for the Acclaimed to win? Like, I don't understand. Now they're doing a rematch, so you clearly know they are going to win. So I don't understand. Like, you had that moment. You had that. I mean, that was the loudest I think I've ever heard anyone go for the Acclaimed. It's like you had
still
that.
Daddy ass.
I know. And then I love the meme we sent in the chat. It was like, only Billy Gunn can get 2 generations of kids suspended with catchphrases.
True.
All right. Yeah, so it's an unfortunate situation. But like I said, I think more information will come out at a later time and we can kind of formalize our final opinions on it. But if we want to mention like our predictions about the card, Mongo, do you have the stats in front of you?
I can get them.
Okay. But rolling with our winner, I think he got 11 out of the 15 matches. I think I was second with 10, and Mongo, I think had 1 or 2.
I had -1, Steve.
It was
right?
it was not double digits. We'll just put it that way. And I mean, to be fair, in Mongo's defense, maybe having the audible thrown at him to not have us there to help elevate his thought process, maybe that didn't help.
True.
Usually he gets to hear us both talk and then he makes his decision.
We didn't get to mold his mind last week.
That's what I'm saying. He gets to go last. He gets to go last. So like a lot of times, like I'm not saying he changes. I'm just saying he hears good ideas sometimes, and he's like, you know what, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll go that way. Yeah. Like it's not like that hasn't happened to any of us where like, that is a really good idea. Maybe I'm gonna, so and it could be a situation where Jonathan Life's still talking somewhere from last night or last week rather, where he like Bongo said, it's tough. Not making like a negative thing. It's just he's a very long-winded fellow, and maybe Mongo fell asleep making his picks. I don't know if that's what happened, but I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. I just know that it's the worst Mongo's done like since he's been on this show. So I'm not going to blame Jonathan Life, but I'm going to blame Jonathan Life. I think it's his fault. And in all honesty, I'm just giving Jonathan crap. It's awesome that he was able to fill in for us last week and help out. I'm more or less just trying to give Mongo crap for him. Like I said, usually he's right there with us or winning for most of these. So for him to only get about half of them right, it's kind of it's embarrassing for the podcast, I think, really.
Yeah.
Tim, he's trying to give me heart palpitations. Like I'm over here like shitting a brick over here. I'm like, what is going on right now? All right, am I getting punked? No, I think I went too logical, and Tony Khan was like, "Ha ha ha! Joke's on you."
you went the other route of like, well, he can't be doing something that we already know the answer to. There's no way he's going to do that. Oh wait, fuck, he did like the whole night. Oh shit.
It's just, yeah, like I said, it's just the booking was so strange, and it's just. I honestly think he went into panic mode, and then all the drama. So between the drama and the injuries, I think he just went in panic mode. Was like, just play it too safe. And it kind of showed. And I think he got fired up. I think he now realizes I have to show my nuts now. Like I can't be like Mr. Hi, I'm your best friend. I still got to be their boss at the end of the day. And that's the issue. Like, I don't want a hard ass boss either. Like Vince McMahon was too hard, but you have to have that fine line of don't walk on me and step over me. But yes, I said, I know. That's what she said. Insert the jokes.
Hey, boss, you can't say that on TV.
Well, it's our podcast. We can do what the fuck we want.
We are now we are canceled. We're just
they call us Mr. Worldwide.
Right. All right, so getting back on track here. Mongo, did you get the results pulled up now? Like
Yes.
how we're doing? Okay. All right, so the first match, I'll just take Tim's job for a second. The first match that we'll do is the Tay Conti and Ruby Soho against Ortiz match. We all essentially picked Guevara and Ty Conti, Ty Mello, Ty Guevara, whatever you want to call her. That match we didn't get a chance to actually predict because they added that last minute.
But I said you guys would have picked him.
I would have, to be honest. I said it right away before the match even happened. I said this. I would have picked them no matter what, just because they bury Ruby Soho. They don't know what to do with Ortiz now that Santana's gone. Plus, they had heat together anyway, so like he's just there. Like it's unfortunate. They're both like Eddie Kingston's lackeys now, and it's just unfortunate because they're just there.
Yeah. No, I get I knew there wasn't substance, Mikey. They just wrestled on Friday and they're wrestling Sunday, so they're not gonna like. And it was for the AAA essentially intergender titles, so like they're not gonna have their other teams' titles change hands on All Out. So it was kind of like, I don't know why the match was added. Like it didn't make sense. It was like Sammy's like, "Hey boss, you forgot my payday. Shit, let me put you on the card." Like,
well, and that was originally why the Eddie Kingston match was changed. It was supposed to be Eddie and Sammy was going to be wrestling before the pay-per-view essentially, and they didn't know if he was going to essentially be there or be like, so that was some of the reason too. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh no, they're going to make it and they're going to have another match instead though. It's like, why?
Well, yeah, and then it turns out because Eddie Kingston got suspended for pie facing Sammy, like I guess,
yeah,
because Sammy called him a fat piece of shit, and then Eddie Kingston went backstage and basically pie faced him, and then I give Eddie Kingston all the credit in the world. He went on social media, was like, "Yo, my bad. Don't attack Sammy. I was one. I acted up. I reacted in anger. Mad respect for that because he came out and was like, I fucked up. Like I overreacted. Even Sammy, he stayed quiet, but I'm sure got his tongue lashing hopefully too. And after got again, goes back to what Tim said earlier, clearing shit you say before you say it on a live mic about someone. But yeah, so. Same kind of like with the Ishii Kingston match that came up too. Like it was just kind of thrown. It was like, oh, he's fought him before and he's in town, so let's just throw him in a match. Like it was a cool match, but I was like, Ishii's not going to win.
So Tim, did you want to continue running down these, or you want me to?
I don't have it pulled up. So
all right. So the next match was Hook defending his FTW championship against Cool Hand Angelo Parker with Jack Off Matt Menard. Pretty sure that's his nickname. Anyways, I don't remember. Daddy Magic, Black Magic, Jack Off, I don't know, whatever. Matt Menard. Hook defeats him by submission. I know I picked Hook. I don't know who else picked Hook.
Yeah, I think we all. I picked.
We
Hook,
had 40 responses and it was 100% Hook. So thankfully, our listeners weren't stupid enough to pick Mr. Job Squad 2.0. Like that's what to me. I was thinking about this. Like the Jericho Appreciation Society essentially is the Job Squad. Right, like that could be the next. Like, play on that T-shirt because, like, I like Sammy, I like Jericho, but man, that faction needs to just get split up. It sucks.
Yeah. And then the following match after that, you have Neville defeating Kip Sabian by pinfall, retaining his AEW All Atlantic Championship, and that's Pac for people who don't know who Neville is.
The bastard.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all picked Pac on this one. I think.
Yep.
And that should have been all 40 responses too. I mean, it should have been damn close.
Surprisingly, it was 50-50. If you can't see, Roland's eyes just like got 19 sizes too big.
So 20 people were probably drunk when they filled that out, right? the motherfucker hadn't even been on TV in like 2 years. Like no one. The last time we saw him, it was game over. Miro put him through like a fucking toy, and like I don't.
Then he had like surgery.
Just saying, like he's not going to come. He's Kip Sabian, so he's not that good to begin with. No offense, like he's all right, but he's not going to take the title off the guy who just won the tournament to get the title like a month ago. It's just not going to happen.
Anybody else forget that like the North American Atlantic title is actually a thing?
Yeah, I don't really care. I think it's kind of silly, but whatever. It is what it is.
It's kind of like their indie title, so I think it's just so they can have a title, one of their champions wrestle, because they always show random footage on Dynamite of him wrestling. Like, here he is in Guadalajara. You're like, oh, okay,
right. So the next match was the second best Kingston that Phil Brooks has ever shared a locker room with, defeating Tomohiro Ishii by pinfall in about 13 minutes. So that's Eddie Kingston again for people who are living under a rock. I know I picked Eddie Kingston.
Same.
I think like 3 people chose. I think just to be that weird in case it won.
Those 3 people were probably also half of the people that picked Kip Sabian in the last match.
Probably
having a little bit too much before they predict.
Or unless it was Kenny just picking people.
Could be. Probably Glenn too. Glenn just going down picking names. You don't know.
Which we appreciate you guys at least listening.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah.
But I'm going to shit on you because sometimes Kenny's predictions, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely a Kenny prediction. When it's like, the Great Muta is going to rise from the bottom of the ring. Like, yep, that's a Kenny prediction.
Hey, to be fair, the pay-per-view before this, I had Scott Steiner was going to show up carrying bowling balls. So
Tim had Leo Rush re-debuting.
Yeah, well, it could be worse. All right, so then you have the actual start to the pay-per-view. Essentially, is the casino ladder match for the winner gets a future AEW World Championship match. You have the Joker, essentially MJF, which you find out later on in the night, with Stokely Hathaway, Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty, the Ass Boys, and Big Cass, defeating Cesaro, Wheeler Yuta, Penta, Rey Fenix, Roosh, Andrade, Cien Almas, and Dante Martin. I'm purposely messing these up so that way Tim doesn't make me do this again. I'm just throwing names out there. I know.
Remember, we did the Money in the Bank, and Tim didn't participate.
Liv
Morgan won.
Yeah. So I know that was one of the things I kind of called him out for. So I know I picked MJF to be the Joker. I also picked MJF to win the match.
So did I.
I did not. I don't even remember what I picked. Or wasn't that?
Oh no!
You picked Claudio.
That's right.
Claudio Castagnoli. He was in the match too. I didn't name him, but he was in the match too. I named his WWE persona. So.
Well, Jim Ross still calls him that, so it's okay.
That's fine. I mean, Kenny Omega is still a WWE champion, so right? I mean, whatever, it is what it is. But
so you knew it had to be MJF when they played the Rolling Stones, because my first thought was, Jesus Christ, he shelled out money for Rolling Stones. So they started playing Sympathy for the Devil, and I just remember sitting there going, yeah, it's totally MJF, because the whole time they were feuding with Punk, he used CM Punk's Ring of Honor promo, which, spoiler, will be shown again later tonight, where the greatest trick the devil ever did was telling the world he didn't exist. You had the song Sympathy for the Devil. So, and he came out with a weird Games of Thrones, like devil mask. So the ending was a little wonky, but yeah, we all picked pretty much MJF, I think, except for Tim. And like a bunch of people surprisingly chose Penta, which that would have been a solid choice if it wasn't MJF.
Well, and then the best part is that like Twitter goes nuts and people are actually predicting that the Joker was Bray Wyatt. And it's like that would be like putting Mongo in a mask, having him go out there and be like, that is Leo Rush. It's like, no, they're not even close. Like,
it's Hornswoggle. No,
right,
no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anybody that was like serious about that being Bray Wyatt was as drunk as the people that picked Kip Sabian. Like it just, they're not even close. Like they're not in the same body type. They're not the same shape. Like Bray Wyatt would have had to lose like 75 pounds. Like no, or 50 probably. I'll be nice, probably 50, but whatever, it's fine. But like they're not even the same like body shape, like type. Because Bray Wyatt has slimmed down a bit from when he was Husky Harris, but he's still just a broader guy. MJF is not that broad shoulder kind of like. So you knew, like, it's just funny. People are like, "Oh, it has to be Bray." It's like, no, you have to be stupid if you think that's Bray. No offense, like that's just you're dumb. You're very dumb because there's no way that's Bray Wyatt.
Someone said Sasha Banks too, and I was like, when I saw like a one that kept getting all traction, and I was looking at that, I'm like, it's clearly a male. Like, I'm not trying to like gender like that, but I'm like, it's clearly.
You know what would have been hilarious? You know what would have been hilarious if it was fucking Jade Cargill this whole time? That would have been fucking hilarious because like she could pass as a dude all dressed up like that because she's big and jacked, and like she could probably like get people be like, oh, I don't know who that was. That would be hilarious. But anyhow, we'll talk about her later. But I
think when Stokely took his mask off, that was the most like underwhelming reaction.
They're like, oh, fuck it, Stokely.
So like, so yeah, he took his mask off, and then all of a sudden you saw Ethan Page, and I was like, oh, this is the people he's been recruiting. And then you saw Big Cass. I'm like, all right, so there's clearly MJF because he hired him to take on Jericho that one, during their whole trials of Maxwell.
Right. All right, so moving away from that, you now have the Elite with Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa defeating Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order, John Silver and Alex Reynolds by pinfall. I got this one wrong because I thought that for one time and one time only, the EVP championship titles would go to somebody that weren't the EVPs, and I kind of fucked this one up.
I said Dark Order too.
Tony Khan was obviously as drunk as the people that picked Kip Sabian in this match. There's no reason for you to make, like I said, why would you even make trios titles and have like a tournament when you already knew, like that was the perfect match that people expected. That was the match that they should have swerved the people and said, holy shit, Hangman. And that's the thing. Again, it writes itself. You have Hangman beat Kenny Omega, and then they'll be like, oh my God, Kenny Omega just cannot beat Hangman Page. Like it fucking writes itself. Like I just don't get it. And instead, Tony Khan's like, well, these guys are EVPs, and we probably should throw them a bone because they stir shit behind the doors and stuff, and want to fight CM Punk later in the night and stuff. So we'll give them titles. We'll create titles and just hand them to them. But we had a decent match for it.
Yeah, no, I didn't agree with the book. I also said Dark Order. I really thought it should end too because I feel like you basically disbanded the Dark Order. This is like your last shot to kind of make them relevant.
Mm-hmm.
This is Judgment Day in WB. This is WB's handling of Judgment Day. Is Dark Order.
And like I said, as soon as Hangman Page replaced Evil Uno, essentially in that trio,
that's why it
wrote itself. All you have to do is say, well, Hangman has Kenny Omega's number. Like that.
And he didn't even have to eat the pin. It could have been one of the Bucks eating the pin too.
You could have had Kenny eat the pin. It's a trios match. Who cares? It doesn't go to a singles record. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm saying if they were scared for him to eat the pin.
Right. But that writes itself though, that Hangman still can't, you have Kenny Omega can't get over the hurdle of Hangman Adam Page. It writes itself. But anyhow, so did Tim pick the Elite on this one?
I did.
Yes.
All right. So moving on to the next match, you have Jade Goldberg with Kira Hogan and Layla Gray facing Ember Moon. I think if anybody picked Ember Moon on this, they're also a little bit delusional because she was not the one that was going to beat Jade Cargill in this match.
I picked Athena.
Oh, you're delusional.
No, I thought he'd do. I'm like, because Jonathan kind of helped me put it. Who's going to beat her? There's no one really left because they're trying to make her, like you said, Goldberg. So there was no one. I'm like, well, the only logical person that would someone who's a veteran could take her out, end her streak. Now you're going to have her end at the magic number of 40, 50. Like we don't want this. Sorry. So
we never wanted it. We never wanted it.
I'm sick of seeing her with the TBS title. She hasn't gotten better. I'm sorry. Even the baddies have fizzled out. So her whole shtick's fizzling out. But again, it's the booking in the women's division.
Yeah. Tim, who did you pick on this one? Jade Goldberg?
Yes.
Okay. So you went with Goldberg. Okay. Who's next, I guess, is where we go from here. So moving along to the next match. This match was probably low-key one of the better matches on the card. Again, I didn't see the show because I wasn't going to pay $50 to watch two matches I cared about. This is one of the matches I did care about, however. Wardlow and FTR, that's Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood, against Black Machismo and the Motor City Machine Guns with Satnam Singh and the player from the Himalayas in their corner. This was, I would imagine, like I said, probably one of the best matches on the card. And Wardlow and FTR defeated Jay Lethal and the Guns.
It was fantastic. I would say it was probably my second favorite match of the night.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those guys in the ring. Just kind of on a side note, though, while we're talking about FTR, if you haven't gotten a chance to watch Rampage from yesterday, go watch the Dax Harwood Claudio match. That is a phenomenal match, one of the best matches that you'll see on cable TV. Just go ahead and watch it. That was an excellent match.
Dax is becoming the modern day 1-2-3 kid.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see a good match out of somebody, put him in there with Dax.
And quick side note before we go on, have him seeing his daughter come out, and having that moment, get to share with her, especially since they talked trash about her in the promo. I thought it was a cool moment and seeing that real emotion. So yeah, I agree. Match tonight. Plus, who doesn't love FTR? If you don't love FTR, you don't like wrestling.
Did you see that they that Jay-Ski tattooed the FTR tattoo, and that Dax Harwood retweeted it, and that he enjoyed it and it came out. So that's pretty cool. Jay-Ski is my tattoo artist. He's also gone on the Jericho Cruises Mongo. So shout out to him. It's pretty cool that a local guy got some notoriety. So it's pretty neat. So yeah, I think we all picked Wardlow and FTR here.
Yes.
I hope.
It was like 99%.
Okay. All right. So this next match is, as JR would say, Willie Hobbs against Ricky Skaggs. Hey, JR said that once. Or as he says now when he tries to make fun of Taz. Here's the bit. I'm going to say this, and it's going to be politically incorrect, and I'm just putting it out there now. You have JR who can't speak the English language at all, and yet he's picking on the way that Taz says Starks. And it's like, JR, you don't even know where the fuck you are every day. Calm down. He's like, Ricky Starks. It's like, oh, yeah, JR, you should not be the one. And the best part is JR will they go on his podcast and cry about how people pick on him for like him not being able to smile in pictures and the way he talks and stuff, but yet he'll freaking bully. He went to the Vince McMahon school of like bullying people. He's like, I don't want to be bullied, but I can bully people, damn it. And it's like, and I know it's supposed to be funny and whatever, but like the first time he said it, it was funny. Every time now that Starks is on there and Taz is on commentary with JR is like, oh, it's Starks, Ricky Starks.
I'm not gonna lie, I love when he doesn't come out till like the main event. I like when they, hey, go take a nap before the main event, so you're somewhat fresh.
Go lay down, old man. But anyway, so Will Hobbs actually defeated Ricky Starks in this match, which I personally thought it was a no-brainer. I feel that you can't build up Hobbs as a credible like bad guy, big, you can't. I mean, you can have Hobbs, essentially job a little bit if they do it right. But I just felt like there was no way that Ricky Starks was going to win this match because they're kind of playing Starks up as a loser right now. And that's why they split the team up, essentially. That's why Hobbs turned on him. So in my mind, I didn't think that was going to end yet. Now, will it go further? I don't know. Tony's drunk most days when he does his booking, so we'll just never know. But I would like to see it continue. And eventually, if they do it correctly, Starks can go over Hobbs, and it would make more sense. It would be a more – I think they're still trying to get the crowd behind Starks a little bit, too, to hopefully turn him, I think. So it made more sense for Hobbs to essentially beat him and keep that going, I think.
And he's got the charisma to be something. Like he has the Rocky Maivia vibes. I know he gets compared a lot, but it's there. They need to light that candle and let it go.
Right. So I picked Powerhouse Hobbs in this one. I know
picked Starks.
I know Mongo picked the loser there on that one.
I don't know, because I thought he was gonna get that cheap win. That way they could continue to feud. Like, oh, I got a surprise win, and then have like another match or something. But I don't know.
All right. So then the next match, you have the Acclaimed with Daddy Ass taking on Swerve in Our Glory, which is Keith Lee, and then one guy that was in Hit Row. Can't remember his name.
Hit Row.
Obviously, Swerve Strickland. Swerve in Our Glory defeated the Acclaimed in about 22 minutes. I heard this match, like Mongo had mentioned, I heard this match was a really good match, and the crowd was so on fire for the Acclaimed. And like Mongo said, unfortunately, they've now set it up where they're having a rematch. And if the Acclaimed don't win this rematch, I will be shocked.
And this match turned them heel without them doing any heel tactics.
Yeah.
But it was so fantastic. I mean, Caster got to show off his wrestling, that his wrestling skills are as sharp as the silver tongue. That he's great on the mic. He's what you want from a wrestler. He's like a John Cena from when John Cena was doing the heel raps, and he could back up the ring. And then, you have a great team like Swerve Keith Lee, who can be like the muscle, he can be the brute force, and you have Swerve Strickland, who can fly around the ring. They played off, their chemistry was great. Bowens, it was electric. This was my favorite match, but I mean, it's like 1A, 1B with FTR because they were just both fantastic. But hey, who'd have thought our podcast would like tag team matches as much?
And I picked Swerve in Our Glory, I believe.
Me as well.
I picked the Acclaim because just with how their reactions are going in Chicago, I thought they were going to call the audible, but oh well.
So there's another one in case you're wondering. Mongo didn't get that one. I don't think anybody got this next match, to be honest with you. because I didn't pick. I picked Britt. It's Toni Storm defeating Britt Baker with Reba, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida, Miss Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I picked Baker as well.
I picked Storm.
Oh, you did? Wow. Okay. So you did get one. Okay, there's one that you got that we didn't. No,
Pretty good.
I figured it was the exact situation where like they would just, because they do it with Ruby Soho. I figured they were just going to bury Toni Storm again, and in my opinion, it needed to be either Britt Baker or Jamie Hayter winning that match. The way that they were teasing the little bit of dissension between those two, and Hayter's kind of been red hot a little bit. So like, and not that Toni Storm hasn't been. So I figured Shida was the odd woman out that wouldn't win no matter what.
But it's well, and she's got another title from another company too. So I mean, she didn't really need that, push. And they set it up perfectly. I will say this match was probably booked the best women's match they've had in a long time, with the wrestling, the storytelling, and then, like you said, the dissension. Because Jamie Hayter had the match won until Britt Baker took that moment away. And her facial expression, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, after all this time, like everything I've done for you, it the story wrote itself. So at least this one, they realized, hey, shit, here's the story.
Right. So the next match was a very quick match. Rumor has it that Christian Cage was injured going into the match, which is why they kind of did this. But you have Christian Cage with the Big Show taking on Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. The Big Show flip-flopped before the match, knocked out Jack Perry. Again, the Big Show being Luchasaurus for those people who are not following along at home. Anybody on the bingo card that has the Big Show flip-flop, you can mark that dabber down for what Luchasaurus did on Sunday. Turning on Jungle Boy and essentially feeding him to Christian Cage, who Christian Cage would then essentially pin him in 20 seconds.
This shouldn't have been on the card if they knew he was hurt.
Yeah, it does Jungle Boy a little bit of a disservice. I feel like they could do, like, if they wanted to, they could have just done a backstage segment where Luchasaurus beats up Jungle Boy or something, but to have him lose a match because Christian Cage is hurt, it just doesn't. I don't think anybody wins there.
I got this one right.
I did too.
I got it wrong. I thought it would be an actual match, and I was like, "There's no way you can let Christian talk all that shit and then have him win," and they did.
Wow. Essentially, they felt like they had to. I think they're doing that just to further the storyline. Honestly, they want to have the match in the ring eventually, and when they finally do, Jack Perry will win that match. Again, another predictable rematch, like they're setting up for the Acclaimed. It's kind of predictable, unfortunately. So the next match is one of the matches that we all thought. We discussed it a little bit, that we didn't think that Jericho had any reason to go over Bryan Danielson, but for some reason, Tony Khan, drinking the Jericho Kool-Aid before the match, decided to have Chris Jericho defeat Bryan Danielson in about 24 minutes. Sorry.
I think I actually did pick Jericho in this one. Did I?
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Garcia was going to get involved inside of Jericho in this match.
See, I thought the opposite. That's why I picked, because I picked Bryan, right?
Mm-hmm. You and I both picked, because we both thought Daniel Garcia would
We thought it was going to go the other way. Yeah. That's what. Yeah. So, I mean, that has now officially kind of played itself out too, right? So it just happened kind of after the fact. But I mean, in my opinion, I don't understand why Jericho needed to go over Bryan Danielson here. It just and I know it wasn't clean. I get it. It was the Jericho essentially with the low blow and stuff when the referee was, so like I get it. Like it was some shenanigans, but like still, I just don't see the point in beating Danielson there. But it is what it is. So now you have the Let Me Up match, which in the middle, which was before the main event. It was Darby, Sting, and Miro against the House of Black. Aleister Black, Brody King, and Buddy Murphy with Julia Hart. Like I said, we had Darby, Sting, and Rusev as a team. So this match, I didn't really know which way they were going to go because there was rumors that Malachi Black was leaving. And obviously he's been since granted his release. So I thought in my mind, where at this point they had denied the release, supposedly. And in this point, I figured they were going to have him win that match to kind of like shut him up. Like, hey, you're staying, but here you can win. And that's not what happened. So I got this one wrong.
Yeah, I thought it'd be House of Black too, based on the momentum and what they need to win. And then we heard rumors, but then when I heard it was for his mental health and for his back issues, I'm like, maybe they'll let him go. And I think they just said it was denied so that way they didn't spoil the results of the match. But yeah, I think he knew he was going because he's taking time off. He's not going back to WWE, so all the trolls online can shut up. He's taking much needed time, so hopefully he gets better with whatever he's dealing with, and whenever he comes back, wherever he comes back.
That's not to say that he won't end up in WWE, but he's not doing this to go back to WWE.
Yes, and I'm not saying it'd be a bad thing either way, wherever he goes.
No.
I just hope wherever Tommy N shows up next, that it's when he wants and he's healthy, because it sucks. He's such a great worker, and kind of a crappy way to end the storyline.
Well, and honestly, in my opinion, I thought this was writing itself for Sting to finally make the turn on Darby too, because they had the House of Black, they had the face paint where Sting had got the mist. So like in my mind, I was thinking, well, Sting has kind of like wavered away from having the Julia Hart turn. He's done well, but like this is the perfect time to kind of pay that off, I thought too. So like I thought, again, it kind of wrote itself, but then knowing that Malachi needed to step away, and like you said, Mongo, the decision was probably already made, and it probably wasn't denied. They probably just put it out there that it was, so that way, like you said, people would think that it was. But that was my thought, why I thought they would win too, that it just kind of wrote itself, that it would have been a perfect time to have Sting kind of go away from Darby, because I know Sting had mentioned, I think Tim and I were talking about it earlier this week, Sting's been pretty vocal about wanting to step away slowly, like kind of phase himself out, like he doesn't feel like he needs to be a main attraction anymore. So like it kind of would have made sense if they decided to turn Sting, have that kind of feud with Darby, and then just kind of have him, send him off into the sunset. But obviously with Malachi Black, having his issues and needing to be let go of his contract so he can go handle his mental health and get better. It kind of probably, they might have had an idea to do that, but it definitely changed things a little bit, I would think. So now you have the main event. We've talked about this ad nauseum earlier today in this episode. We have CM Punk defeating Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship in pretty much 20 minutes. This is one of those things where I think it wrote itself, where you knew that Punk was winning this match. No matter how you want to slice it or what your thoughts were, they set it up essentially to pay it off that Punk was going to win the match.
And I, in like one of the bold prediction segments on that forum, I said that Punk was going to turn heel, and well, he did, just not in the way that I thought he was going to. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more we can kind of elaborate on this match we already talked about earlier on this episode, but it's the whole thing's an unfortunate situation. With how it was booked and then the media scrum and everything. So I'm hoping that they can rebound from this. I just don't know if Tony has the experience on how to dig himself out of this hole. I'm hoping that he'll rely on his, producers and coaches and stuff to, help him out. It's an unfortunate situation. Like I said, though, I think more information is going to come out later, and we'll be able to, have a better opinion about it.
And I think that's the other thing too, not to cut you off, but I think that's the other thing that you like Tim had mentioned earlier too. You really can't take a side until you know what happened, in all honesty. And I am a firm believer in that everybody, no matter what happened, is at fault here. It's not, Punk did this and he shouldn't have, or the Bucks did this and they shouldn't have. It's they both did shit they shouldn't have done, regardless. Granted, I am a CM Punk fan. I'm not going to say that I'm not. However, I can also be a realist and realize that you can't have your champion essentially shit on your owner during a press conference and then do all this other stuff that he did and act. And that's the best part, is that he's, mentioned that thing about MJF. He wants me to, work with children and like pricks and what. It's like, well, you're doing the same thing, child. Like Phil, you're sitting up there having your hissy fit. And it's like, so like, it's just, that's the other thing I want to point out too, is that anybody that has a side right now needs to take a step back and realize that we don't know the full story yet. And you can't have an opinion of like what you think's right and wrong if you don't know the story. So like right now, like I said, all I'm going to say is I know they're both at fault to some degree, and we'll have to wait and see if we hear more as to what happened.
Yeah. Can't say, don't want to beat a dead horse. Same kind of sentiments. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so that pretty much wraps up our Fallout from All Out episode. I'm really proud of that name. Kind of on a side note, off topic, we posted a thing on our socials yesterday about just the amazing growth that we've been on 40 countries, really popular in the UK, things like that. Thanks for Mongo for grabbing those statistics for us.
And not the growth that was on Jillian's Hall's face.
But
Right.
the boogeyman ate. Oh,
Right, yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So we want to thank you for all your support. We couldn't have done this without you guys, and obviously couldn't have done without you, Roland and Mongo as well. So it's been a pleasure so far, and we're going to continue this for a long time, hopefully, as long as you keep tuning us in. So follow us on our socials. Coming up for you guys next week, let me just grab my notes here. Do I really serious, guys? Yeah, I can't.
wait,
yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I can't.
no.
Oh, I was worried that was going to happen. I was hoping he wasn't going to look at that, but we're going to do WCW 2000 next week. So we're going to do Fall Brawl from 2000. We all know last time WCW 2000 broke Tim essentially, so I think we re-broke him again.
Yep.
That wasn't a good sign. I was kind of worried that might happen.
I guess we're probably gonna be you and I next week. I'm guessing.
Doesn't look good, does it? Well, I guess I'll sign off for us. He was and still is Tim Kurt. He's not there. He's in a little box there. His box is just a window right now. But he was Tim Kurt. I'm Roland Fulis.
And I'm Mongo.
And this has been Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present.
Fuck, now we're going to do.
I know. We're going to have to. All right. So you want to flip a coin for who's steering the show next week then?
No, not it.
I hope you're all having a nice day.